Everybody, I'm with Scott Ainslie. So, Scott, how are you, man? How have you been doing?
We're better than we have a right to be. Uh, if I was a waitress or a line cook in a restaurant or a bartender, or uh, I wouldn't have any way to transmit the work that I do. Uh, Luckily, musicians, we thought we were going to be hit the hardest, but um, with the generosity of fans and people making donations, my chin's above water, and I feel very, very lucky about it.
Yeah, that's the same here. We're working really, really hard, but in the long run, it's probably a good thing for us in the sense that, learning to adapt and to reach a new audience and
Yes.
new ways to reach our existing audience is just a good thing.
I did my first live stream concert was in late April, and we had people tuning in from 5 continents and 40 states, and everybody was generous. The people who could afford to make donations did, and there was no paywall, there was no ticket sales. It was just a matter of giving music away and allowing people to donate if they could, and it worked out very, very well. And so we're doing a lot of video production, and a lot of not, I don't want to do too much live streaming, but we're doing some, sort of one a month to keep things alive.
Right, exactly. So you do pre-recorded things and you do what else do you do?
I do pre-recorded work. I've been working for all the guitar camps that I teach at the music camps. For this summer, of course, we're all canceled. And one of the things I was going to teach this summer was the music of Mississippi John Hurt, this wonderful ragtime blues player from the hill country in Mississippi. And so I've spent almost 2 months now shooting and editing basically a guitar class in video. So I have nearly 2.5 hours of instructional video on John Hurt's music. And my idea is that you could sit with a guitar in your lap and join me for the course of one of these videos. And it'd be a little bit like being in class with me. And you get to stop and rewind me, which you can't do in class. So
Right, exactly. Like I was going to say, there's some advantages to the online platform, and that's one of them. And then there's others too. For example, you could, if like we just had a piano trio pre-record a concert that's going to go out for a chamber music festival. And the good thing is, while the concert is actually happening, they'll be able to chat with the people, answer questions, relate directly with the audience in a way that they can't usually. I mean, obviously, we miss the live shows, like, don't
we
get
do.
me wrong.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's also very cool to, like, you have somebody, you're watching a show, and you're also at the same time chatting by typing with the performers. Like, it's cool. It's just different, where we, like, it opens up new things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And the shows are uninterrupted by applause, and people can watch lying on their couch in their underwear, drinking $1 beers, and they can sing along as loud as they want, and they won't bother the person next to them. I mean, well, they might, but they won't. They won't bother everybody.
It's really cool that you can give the complete package from your house. Like, you can, like, people will see what they would have seen. Like, it's not, like, it's not a diluted product. It's like it's the real thing what they're getting.
In some ways, it's not less. In other ways, I almost never take the stage with a set list. I know what song I want to start with. I usually know where I want to end a set with, but everything else is about the people in front of me in the moment. And if you try to do a live streaming concert like that, you're going to spend a lot of time going like, I wonder if they like that or not. So you have to make a set list. There's a different level of organization that's required.
Right. Well, it's very cool to talk to you, and I'm very happy that you're doing okay. And so on Friday, people, like, we're going to broadcast your show here at Timucua. And so people can go watch that. And we hope that people will go to timucua.com/events to register for the event. They don't have to. They can watch it on our Facebook page.
Sure.
Or on YouTube. But the registration helps us in many, many ways, because we know who's following and who likes what, and we can keep stats a little bit and serve our audience better in the long run. by
Yes.
knowing a little bit what's happening. What we usually do when people are here, we need to do a little bit of the same when they're not,
Yeah.
and they're watching from home. And people can donate through our event, or you have your own site, right, or your own way that people can donate to if they want. Which we're gonna give you the money that we get anyway, so it makes no difference.
It's generous and wonderful. For years in New York City and then in Ireland, in Dublin, and around Europe back in the 1970s, I did a lot of busking, which is the European word for playing music in the street, for donations. And so we set up a virtual a busking page on our website. And it's at Cattail Music, Cattail, like the plant, cattailmusic.com/donate. And it'll get you to a page that describes what it is we're doing and why. And you can make a donation there with a credit card or a PayPal, or, and every little bit helps. I mean, the smallest amount helps us.
Yeah,
And
and it's the same for us. And so please, folks, do be generous and watch it. Now, let's go back a little bit and talk about your experience, because you've played all over the world for many years, and you came to Timucua. And how was that experience for you? Like how similar and how different was it for you?
first of all, it's a lovely space to play, as you well know. You've worked very hard to create it, and the space, it's a wooden space. It resonates like the inside of a guitar. It's a lovely space to play. Um, and there was artwork on the walls. I had a visual artist working next to me that evening, which if you'll tune in to the concert, you'll get a chance to see her and some of her work. And it was just a lovely, relaxed, and open sort of performing opportunity. And we adored it. We love being with you. Their kindness and generosity as a venue owner and a producer were terrific. And you'll see that we got good video and audio from the performance. So it worked out very, very well for us. And we'll come back when we can,
Yeah, I look forward to that, really, really. Because you do things that not everyone does, like you play instruments that not everyone does that plays, and you also are, you have like a direct connection to some traditions that not necessarily are getting lost, but maybe that the new generation doesn't have a direct connections to, and that's cool. That's important.
I was very, very lucky as a young man at 17, 18, 19 years old to begin to run into 70, 80, and 90-year-old people who played music, traditional music in America. And that set me up for looking for older people who played. Whenever I want to learn something about a traditional piece of music or a form of music, I go look for the oldest person who's still alive who plays it and has their sense, and spend as much time as I can with them. And part of it's just sitting in the room, telling stories and becoming friends. And part of it is musical technique. How do you use your hands? How is that done? What am I not paying attention to? And those personal connections are evident in my work, and in my own mind, they set me apart somewhat from somebody who's just learned from records or from watching video. You can watch all the video you want. The video is not watching you.
Right.
Happily. But the beautiful thing about having a teacher in front of you, and as I've gotten older, I've become one of those teachers, is to have them look at your hands and go, your hand looks a little funny. Try moving your guitar like this. Try this. Try this. And it's a way of passing on the physicalness, the physicality of making music, as well as the subtleties of the style and the tradition.
And plus, recorded music you'll never get the 100% accuracy on what the tone was exactly. Like, whether it was because they're old recordings and the equipment wasn't there, or because it's new recordings and the equipment is there and camouflages, flaws, and so it's, my father was a fiddler, and he did the same. Like, he was an electrician, but he would go around and look for old guys, old farmers who played fiddle, and then he would learn, the same song 50 different ways, And
What style did he play?
our music, I'm from Quebec, so
Quebec.
Quebecois folkloric music,
Yeah.
which is, kind of it's kind of like our ancestors, his direct paternal ancestors were from Germany, but our ancestors mostly are from the very western tip of France, the Brittany
Oui.
part of France,
Attends.
which is the Celtic part. And
Yeah.
so, which is why our music is so akin to Irish music. And the instrumentation is different than what the tradition ended up being in the southern United States. But some of the roots are similar. Like, some of the, like, mountain music, I recognize myself a lot in that. Like, even like some aspects of bluegrass and things, completely different instrumentation, and of course different songs, but there's a lot of, you know, similarities with the music. Now, I have also this kind of, since I was a kid, this kind of interest in folkloric music and dance. My parents, I don't dance, but my parents did folkloric dancing. That's my mom wasn't a musician, so my father would make her dance with his friends, like, and they
Sure.
also danced together in a folkloric troupe of dancers. So, I've always enjoyed, and that's why I enjoyed your concert so much, is because I can see all of that connection to the past, and it's more than that. It's to me, it's like, and how it relates to now and the future. The past is only important because it hopefully informs us to look at a better future. And so,
Yeah, it's a living tradition has to be living. It has to be alive. It has to fit in our hands and our mouth in our lives. And the moment you cast it in amber or insist it be the way it was 50 years ago or 100 years ago or 150 years ago, you're strangling it. And so they will move just like language does, and change. And some of the changes are for good, some of them might not be, but it's a living thing. Um, I'm a great believer in apprenticeship, in the ability to put yourself underneath a master and learn from them. And I think a tradition has to change, but before you change the music, you should let it change you. You adapt to the tradition
right,
before you adapt the tradition to yourself. And as long as that happens, then I trust you to do whatever you will with the tradition.
right, right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much. I cannot wait to see that concert again. Really, really cool. So everybody who's watching, just go to timucua.com/events to find out when and where to see the event. And cattailmusic.com is your website. And
Yes.
that's also where you can also donate if you want. And so that's really, really cool. We hope people will be generous, and we hope that everybody is going to watch it.
And we're very, very purposefully not putting up a ticket price or a paywall,
Exactly.
because there are many people in this world who've been hit much, much harder than we have. And if they would like to join us at the table, we want them there. So your donations saves a place for someone who can't afford to donate. And we
Exactly.
really appreciate that.
Very cool. Thank you so much. You're the best.
Cheers, Benoit.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Salut.